Hey fam, welcome to the Freetrail Podcast and our new presenting sponsor. We're so happy to now be working with The Feed. Thefeed.com/Freetrail is where you need to go. It is the one-stop shop for all your training and racing nutrition needs. They have over 200 of the world's best nutrition brands stocked in one website. It's a fantastic resource. We've been big customers for a long time. We're really proud to work with them. Some of my favorite products that you can find at thefeed.com/Freetrail. Gnarly Nutrition Whey Protein Powder. I like the chocolate flavor. I have some of this after every one of my workouts and long runs. For in-run nutrition, Orange Drank. You'll see my big dumb face on it. Also from Gnarly Nutrition, enhanced sodium concentration here in the world's best fueling drink mix. Finally, HVMN, Ketone IQ. I have 2 of these ketone shots basically every single day, once before I go running and once in the middle of the afternoon when I need a little extra energy. Go to thefeed.com/Freetrail and you're gonna get an $80 credit, free money to spend at thefeed.com. It'll be $20 right away and then $20 every 90 days thereafter. You'll also get a sweet Trail Running Will Save the World water bottle. Again, that's thefeed.com/Freetrail. You'll get $80 credit to spend on your favorite nutrition products. And if you are international, they do ship internationally as well. So you can take care or at least take advantage of that great offering from The Feed. Big thanks to The Feed for supporting and thank you for watching the podcast. It's good to be here. Thanks everybody for hosting myself and Philip. I come from all the way in the land of freedom and sunshine, California, and it feels like California here today. It's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful place, and appreciate the hospitality. This is my second time in the area, the first to do the Mozart 100K, and I'm sure Philip has a lot of advice and wise words to share with me. Just so everybody knows, I've been a long-time professional athlete in the US, been working with BOA now for at least a few years, 2-3 years, and feel privileged every time we get to do stuff together. And we've done a bunch of stuff in the Denver office. This is my first time at the beautiful Montsea European HQ. So thanks everybody for hosting us, and thanks to BOA for all the support they've given to me and to our business Freetrail. I'm also a partner in the brand Speedland, which is not quite here in Europe, although we obviously have it here on set with us. We're working on our distribution in the future, but the BOA technology, I think, is one of the things that really sets our product apart. So it's been great to interface with the brand across all those different vectors as an athlete, with our media business, and with Speedland. You guys are awesome, and we appreciate it. Philip, my guy, it's our first time meeting also. We've been internet friends for 3 or 4 years, and we met for the first time today, and we both had the same thought. You're taller than I thought you were. We're about the same size. Philip, my traditional opening question for all my podcasts, as I prepared you for, is what makes you you? What is the spirit of Philip?
First of all, thank you for the invitation. Thanks for the warm welcome here at the BOA office on Monte. It's always a really warm welcome, and we feel really, welcome, and it's like coming back to the family. So I'm really happy to be here again. And as you mentioned before, I had the same the same idea when I met you the first time today. I was really happy to meet you finally after following your path over the last year. You were quite a big inspiration and a role model for a long time. I'm not as experienced as you, but still learning, still growing. And if you question me, who is Philip? It's probably the story of dreaming and daring. As I always say, it's about the little boy in me growing up and chasing his dream, putting a lot of hard work and effort in there, and aiming for something bigger.
Awesome. And I think that's what's contributed to your success as an athlete. You grew up, we were just looking on the map where you grew up. You told me this morning as we were hiking up the mountain that you grew up as an alpinist, as a mountaineer. Share some of that story with the audience.
Yeah. I had to show you a little bit around. So first of all, welcome you here in my home of choice, Austria. I'm not an Austrian native, but Italy, but the German-speaking part of Italy. So I come from South Tyrol, the northwest east part of Italy, and I grew up there in a really small village, like 400, 500 people. Everyone knows everyone and everything, and it was for me a beautiful place to grow up, but even I felt like it was necessary to go out, so I went then to Innsbruck for my studies. But home stays home. It's a beautiful place, you have to visit it. It's like 45k long, 80 peaks over 3,000 meters, so perfect playground to develop and to grow as an alpinist, to move in technical terrain. As we saw this morning, it's a huge passion of myself. And
we were all scared just watching Philipp run on the ridge side this morning. You seemed very comfortable in that environment.
Yeah, I feel really comfortable in this kind of terrain, and on the other side, I have to still learn a lot on the running part. So, yeah.
So talk about that. Talk about your transition from being an alpinist to coming into the trail running space. What were some of the critical moments of learning, or some of the inflection points as you made that transition?
Yeah, the most critical point is that I had to realize that I had to learn to run, or how to run. I was used to hike probably in the uphills. I learned that I have to run even many parts of the race, but I still feel really comfortable on the long distances. So, and there's always a huge part of hiking, of walking with poles, and it's pretty sure one of my strengths there. But as you mentioned, my background is not a track and field athlete. I'm not used to be a runner from my beginnings, but more the kind of the alpinist backyard, like. And
it's funny, we got a lot of questions about like the difference between American trail running culture and European trail running culture, and I think that's one of the things that a lot of people would identify as being the difference, in that it seems to me at least that trail running culture in Europe is born out of alpinism and mountaineering, where in the United States it's born out of performance running. And that's why a lot of our courses are faster. A lot of the top athletes who are American come from collegiate road and track racing backgrounds. We're here, it's a lot of ski mountaineers, it's a lot of alpinists, and people who are for sport athletes in mountain environments.
I completely agree with you. So I've never been in the US so far, never did a race there. I would love to come over, maybe next year. Let's see how it's developing everything. But I think that's probably one of the biggest differences between the two cultures, I would say. But I think we are living now in a cool time where those two cultures are,
it is
a mixture of everything, and we are learning to accept each other and to develop new kind of races, and that's a cool time at the moment.
It is. It's such a cool time, and we talked all about it this morning. Maybe we'll share some of those conversations here before we go today. The first time I became familiar with you was when your manager, your agent, I can't even remember how it happened. I think he just sent me an Instagram DM or sent me an email, and we got on a Zoom meeting, and he was like, yes, Philipp, he just won Mozart, and you were just sort of trying to break into being a professional athlete in the space. Anything from that time that stands out? It was only maybe 3 or 4 years ago that you had that initial breakthrough to where you are now as really establishing yourself as a professional. How do you, anything that sticks out to you from that learning, from being an alpinist and being sort of an amateur athlete to now making a career in the sport?
I think the most important thing that I learned is that you have to put all in and to say no, and that's probably the the biggest learning that I made over the last year. Once you found out the thing you are burning for or where your big passion is in, then you have to give all in to dream, and not just to dreaming but even daring to achieve those dreams. And that's probably the story that I'm writing. So I'm still at the beginning, I think. I still have to learn a lot as every race shows up. And but there's the willing and there's the... I think it's about the process, and I really love the process of the development. It's quite interesting. How do you think how your beginnings have been like? Maybe you can talk and give me an advice. How did you develop?
My story, looking back, feel so fortunate. I've had a 15-year career as a pro athlete in the sport, and still feel like I have a couple years left. We'll see this weekend. But coming into the sport when I did, it was such an exciting time. It was in the United States, the era of like Anton Krupicka and Kyle Skaggs and people who were about my age at that time. It was unusual for people in their early 20s to be successful in the sport. Now we see this amazing wave of youthful runners who can approach trail running and make a real career out of it without having to sacrifice a lot, and they can take a very long-term approach to it. So starting with the shorter distances and graduating up to the stuff that you and I specialize mostly in, which is ultra running. And that to me is just so exciting for the present and future of the sport. But for me, when I was coming up, there was no opportunity to be a true like professional athlete. So like the early sponsorship relationships that I developed were very much like low paying or gear only, and it was truly just about the passion and loving what we're doing. And I look back at those times with so much reverence and love, like they were just such beautiful years of my life. And progressively, it has gotten a lot more professionalized, and there have been a lot of moments of adversity and pain and controversy, especially recently. And so really what I try to do now is sort of be a bridge between the old school and the new school, and like help us move into the next generation and love what we do with that same, just like it's about the love, it's about the passion, while also like embracing the career opportunities, the professionalization, the commercial opportunities that are present in the sport now, but without sacrificing the culture and the spirit of the sport, which I think gets us all into it. So yeah, I've been lucky to have a great career, not only, first as an athlete and now building our media and events company. And I think you and I were talking today about, really taking a holistic view of our careers, and having not necessarily a plan, but being more than an athlete and sharing a story and not having it be all about performance. Do you want to share some of that stuff, like your feelings about, the current state of the sport now and sort of where it's headed in your place within it?
Yeah, I think that the actual time is really interesting because the sport gets more and more professional, as we discussed. You have to perform not just in the races but even outside. Social media is a big game. You have to tell a story, not just to share a content or something like this. You have to be a kind of a role model, even as maybe a more experienced runner for the young guys or young guns. Yeah. They're so fast, so we have to find other ways to be competitive as well. And that's the thing that I like on ultra racing. It's not just about being fast, but the experience that you need to finish a race really good. And yeah, for me, I don't know if you agree, it's especially the mental component of the ultra racing that fascinates myself.
Yeah. So tell me about the initial Mozart 100K? Because I feel like that was a breakthrough for you, and so maybe you could share a little bit about that story and give me some advice for what I'm in for on Saturday. Because that's when I originally was connected with you and your story through your manager and learned a little bit more about you, and you've now been on a really successful career trajectory ever since then.
Mozart was for sure a special experience for myself because it was so unexpected. It was the first time that I was racing in there was the name, the Ultra Trail World Tour. Now it has the name of the UTMB World Series, but then it was the Ultra Trail World Tour. And it was the first time that I was part of this race. I had no experience what it is about, what goes on. I was first time invited for a lead presentation, a lead dinner it's called, but I had no expectations. Suddenly in the race I found myself in the second position, passing the first one, and I couldn't realize it. Then there was this long downhill, I think from Schafberg down to St. Gilgen, the route, or to Wolfgangsee. The route then was a little bit different, and I was so confused, and it was crazy. And I lost the weight, and I had to go back somehow to the track. And then I was against in the second position and managed somehow to finish first, and that was a crazy experience.
Did that change
so
the way
unexpected.
Did it change the way that you thought about yourself and your potential in the sport? Because I think we all as professional athletes have those like couple breakthrough moments where it's like, maybe I should devote everything I have to this.
That moment came later on. Honestly, I couldn't realize it, and I didn't had an idea what's the worth or the value of this victory. But the moment that you mentioned was probably last year. When I was the first time when I was capable to follow some idols and to beat with them and to chase some FKTs and especially after Nice, I had this feeling that so much more is possible.
Your race at Nice was very good. You were third place, so like 25 minutes, 30 minutes behind Jim Walmsley.
Yeah, and battling with Simon, and I missed the golden ticket for Western State. Yeah, I didn't knew it that the second one gets one and the third one not. So, but no excuses. I gave everything that was possible, and for sure, Western States would be a big challenge for me. Honestly, I would prefer the hard rock. I think it's more my kind of race. But Nice was for sure a special experience, and there probably was the point where I had the moment that you mentioned, and then I said, okay, whatever it takes, I want to go this way and find out where I will end. I've never been so committed to anything in my life as I am at the moment for the sports, and I really enjoy the process.
Before we get to Snowdonia, the race you did just a couple of weeks ago, which was another amazing success, what does that mean though? What does that look like for our audience here when you say you give it everything? Give us a picture of what that looks like, the dedication, the lifestyle. Practically, what does the day look like for you when you're chasing these dreams?
I understood that it's not just about racing and competing in the different races, but it's about the daily essentials, the daily life. How do you sleep? How do you recover? Are you focused in every training? What are you chasing? What are you eating? What are you aiming for? You have to define yourself, and there are many different parts that have to figure out together somehow. You can change a lot of things, and You have to find a cool team around yourself. So that's probably another learning that I made, that the team around you is crucial. That's all about, that you get the support from the people that surround you. And then we come back to this cool family here, because I've always the feeling that the team here is, that the spirit of the team here is great, and
At BOA, you mean?
at BOA, and that's a cool thing.
Amazing. Okay, so tell us about Snowdonia. It was a special experience for you, a hell of a performance with one of your mentors and idols in the sport.
Snowdonia was probably then the next step after Nice. As we spoke before, I trained a lot. I was committed to take the next step, and so I'm really happy how it ended up in Wales. It's an amazing race, amazing place, and an incredible experience to finish the race, or to win the race together with a close friend, battling for hours and hours and hours, and then realizing that in the end friendship wins, even if you are strong competitors. But the thing is, before you have to battle
Yeah.
as an athlete.
You said today that there was at least some conversation about the merits of finishing together with somebody at the front of a race. When is it time to race all the way to the finish line? When is it appropriate to share it in friendship with somebody like Danny? I think that would be something that people would be interested to hear an athlete of your level speak about.
I'm really excited to hear your opinion afterwards. But for me, especially in the ultra racing, there is another component that's really important, and that's the culture of our sports. And if you have the race like we had it in Snowdonia, it was a really tough course. It was really hard conditions, way hotter than we thought about. We were battling in a group of 4, ending up the 2 of us, pushing one by the other. No one could go away. And then after 100k on the last uphill, we were still together. And then we decided to finish the race together, because on that day we were equal.
Yeah.
There was no one, I think, was stronger. And of course you could finish the race in a sprint or at the last meters. But I think then you will lose a lot of the spirit that our community has.
I agree. I think there's times where it is appropriate to compete all the way to the conclusion of the event. But also that's such a special story, right? These 2 German-speaking Italians in Wales. It makes sense for you guys to finish together, especially given the personal relationship that you guys have and the fact that Danny was one of your early inspirations. I have to say, I do think that at World Championships, at UTMB, those style races, no ties allowed. No ties allowed. That's when you find out at the end. But
in this kind of races, we will race until the finish line, of course. No, but I mean, we had a few races together, and I was never able to really battle him. And Danny is a really close friend, a mentor. He helped me a lot over the last years, and a big part of my progress is because of his experiences, about his advices, about his help, and so it was even a kind of respect to finish together in my eyes. But as I said, we were equal on that day.
Yeah.
So
I've known Danny a long time also.
It's a good decision.
And the last time we did a race together was at the 2021 Diagonal des Fous on Reunion Island, which he also won in a tie with Ludovic Pomeray.
Yeah.
So, and he, like you, is very good on the technical terrain. So you guys make a good match. As one of your mentors, is there anything that you can point to that you've emulated, that Danny has exposed you to, an idea that he's presented to you that's influenced your career?
that it's not about the quality, but the quantity, but the quality. As I started with trail running and training, I trained way too much. I was just about miles, hours, and I don't know if I made it up to the point here if I didn't met him. So he helped me really a lot. He gave me a lot of his experience, and about he has another approach of training, not working with a coach, but listening to his body, and but he has a lot of experience. So and I got a little bit of that, but I found my own way. I found out that I have to work with a coach. I found out that I need to change a few things and to do things others. Everyone has to find his own path. That's really important in my eyes. But in the end, it's that's the cool thing in our sport, that different ways are successful, but you have to find one and you have to be committed to the trail.
It's so true. Like, there's so many different ways to be successful in the sport. It's totally different. Like, between a lot of the top athletes, the training strategies, the training volumes can be significantly different. That's not the case in the road marathon, for example, where most of the pro athletes are doing training that resembles one another. I mean, if you think about the top athletes in the sport, like Jim Walmsley doesn't have a coach, Courtney Dauwalter doesn't have a coach, Killian doesn't have a coach, right? They're all like scientific and very intentional. Adam Peterman doesn't have a coach, but they all like read a lot, they educate themselves, they internalize and download as much knowledge as they can to formulate their own training. But then there's people like you and I who, we resonate with that leadership. It feels good to have some guidance and, you know, some coaching, education in our training, but, you know, obviously just reinforcing the point that you're making about.
Yeah, as you mentioned before or this morning, you and I are not guys of data. I don't want to analyze my training afterwards. I had a great day outside. I did the thing that my coach said. I'm really focused to do that, but afterwards I just want to put my feet up to the couch and relax, and it's his job to analyze that and to figure it out. But as you mentioned, Jim, Killian, Courtney, and all the others, they have a huge experience. They started maybe 10 or 12 years old just to run or to ski, as Killian did, and they have a huge experience, so probably they don't need the experience of a coach. I started with ultra racing 4 years ago, 27 years old, so I need the help, and that's my way to add someone to my team if I need the help and if I'm not capable of to do it alone.
All right. So great. So talk about the partnership with BOA. You've been working with Scarpa as your footwear partner for a while. The partnership with BOA is a little bit more recent. So talk about that partnership, what makes it successful, and then speak specifically about the product and the shoes that you're wearing now.
I'm with Scarpa now since 2022, I think, 21, and with BOA it's my second year, but it feels so longer because it feels so familiar, and I think even the progress of an athlete has a lot to do with the partners that are around me and that they give and the support they give me, and that the feedback that I'm allowed to give and the things that we are developing together. So the support is really cool, and we are actually working on different kind of shoes, like introducing the BOA system to the Scarpa shoes, hopefully soon in an ultra shoe as well. And at the moment I'm testing different kind of proto shoes, but we have the first one on the market now with the Calibre HD, ST and Gaeta, so three different kind of shoes. And for me it's a huge improvement of a good working shoe. So the shoe is, or Scarpa is known for really good shoes, but in my eyes, with the BOA system, it gets even better.
Way better, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you said that you've been running a lot of prototypes. I'm excited to see what's coming. But so next for you is Mont Blanc 90K.
Next for me is supporting you.
That's right. Big job on Saturday.
Cheering you through the Mozart 100.
It's like, hurry up, old man. Let's go. But
tell me, how do you feel?
Well,
2 days before the race?
you can ask me some questions in a second. I think first you can just sort of close out sort of your story and look ahead towards the rest of your season. You got the Mont Blanc 90K coming up here in, I guess, 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah,
but the main goal is UTMB, where I know you've had disappointing failures, we could call them, honestly.
We have to call it like that, yeah.
So if you honestly assess yourself at UTMB, I know some things are out of your control, but what do you learn from those like really disappointing moments? How do you apply them towards this year's race?
I'm really looking forward to my first participation at the UTMB this year, because I learned a lot over the last years, and I have to realize that especially the first start was way too early for me. I never did a 160k race so far, and I had to learn a few things. And I think until now I was not able to finish the race, but now I feel ready. And let's see how it's going up or how it's ending this year. I feel ready for the race. I'm really motivated. Coming back with a good last year race until the crash, but the experiences that I made are really good, and I hope that I get some experience and some tips from you, so nothing can go wrong this year.
I'm rooting for you, buddy.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good one. Okay, well, we have some questions from that people submitted. Unless you have some for me, we can go through some of those.
Yeah, we got a few really nice questions from your followers, and I will have a look for a nice one. What are you most excited for at Mozart as the race is on Saturday?
I'm very excited. So I've wanted to do this race ever since it was on the Ultra Trail World Tour. I have passed through here once before. I've worked with Red Bull for many years, and obviously their global headquarters is very close by. And so it's always been on my radar as an event that I'd love to come do, but it always was on Western States weekend, which in the US is a sacred time. It's an important moment. I'm on the board of that race, so I always have to be there for Western States. Now the race is a little bit earlier, so it gave me the opportunity to come, but more than anything, yeah, it's just the opportunity to come explore a new area, and then with my own athletic career, an opportunity to start fresh again, as you and I talked about for a while today. The last 2 years for me have been more focused on my family. We had a baby just about 2 years ago now, and all the parents in the room know that the first 2 years take a lot of energy. At the same time, my wife and I own and operate a small business, which we're sort of contributing to here. That also just takes up more energy and time than I would have ever imagined, but also just gives us so much joy. And so I feel like I'm in sort of a moment of transition in my career, between being just singularly focused professional athlete to now being someone who still has glimmers of wanting to be a professional athlete, but who's focused on being a good dad, a good husband, and a good leader of our business. I, as we were talking about today, and as we've been talking about here, just got connected with my new coach about 2-3 months ago now.
Yeah.
And she's just really helped me to find the joy in the process again, to get reacquainted with what it means to actually be disciplined and focused as an athlete. And I have to say, it's just felt really good to be reprioritizing my own running. And counterintuitively, as I've been so stressed with work and family stuff, I've realized that when you do carve out that time to focus on your health and your training, even though theoretically you're taking that time away from these other high priority aspects of my life, being a family man and being a small business owner, I'm able to then interface with those responsibilities better because I'm fitter, because I'm healthier, because I feel better about myself and the things that I'm doing every day. So I feel good, I'm excited to be putting the bib back on, and I haven't run 100K since, I did the Hard Rock 100 miler last summer, in July, so it's been almost a year since going this far, and simultaneously obviously feel like a grizzled veteran who's done a million of these races, but also feel like it's something new again, and I'm excited for it. So
sounds great. Next question. And that's quite interesting for me, as you mentioned Hard Rock. Have you changed your mindset as an athlete since Hard Rock?
Yes, I think Hard Rock was. What was obvious there is that I can't balance everything. Basically I had been pushing so hard on our business and family stuff and showed up to Hard Rock where I have one of the fastest times in race history, where I had one of the best races of my career, and sort of just expected that I'd be able to go through it again with similar success, even though I wasn't as focused and disciplined as an athlete again, which it just is so obvious that I should have taken a much different approach and mindset into that race and respected where I was at that period of time. And so, I think that was an eye-opener for me of it, more like, hey, if you're gonna race, like, you have to give the events the respect they deserve, and be realistic with yourself about what you're capable of and what it takes to be successful. Because if you go into Hard Rock hoping to win but not doing what it takes to win, you're setting yourself up for immense disaster and disappointment, which I experienced at Hard Rock last year. Still finished, but it was horrific. It was very, very hard. And so, that's why I was motivated again of like, hey, I don't want to be totally done with being an athlete. I do have goals that I'd like to achieve, and getting reconnected with that again through my coach and through just reprioritizing my own athletic career. It's felt really good, and Mozart will be like really the first opportunity for me to see where I'm at.
Really cool. Question that's not on the sheet, but did you work with a mental coach as well in this process, or did you find your own answers during probably running or during doing nothing?
The mental side of it, I think, has come more naturally to me. Like, even races like Diagonal des Fous and Hard Rock, like, I still finish, even when it sucks. And I've typically been the type of person who is able to hold things together psychologically, even when things get really hard. I don't really deal with the existential, I want to quit, I want to drop out things as much as, maybe some people do. So I've never engaged a mental performance coach. But more recently, I actually have now sort of in talks with a few people to coach me more on the business side, because I've had this epiphany of the similarities between sport and business, and like the amount of hard work, dedication, ability to deal with adversity and stress, they cross over. And in the same way that you and I reach out to people to help us and guide us and lead us through those moments in sport, I'm now looking for that help in the other aspects of my life. So I don't think relevant to the mental performance question that you're asking, but something that has come up recently for me, where I'm in the process of engaging a little bit of extra help to, help with those intangible things.
That's quite cool, and I think there are many, as you mentioned, many things that we can bring from the sports sides into the business side, into the daily life. It's like, and that's even the cool thing that fascinates me about ultra running, that it's more or less like life. It's, you have all those up and downs. If you look on the profile of a race, it's like in life, you have those really highs, but even those really dark lows, and you have to figure out always somehow how to manage it to the finish line, and that's really cool, and that's probably the thing that motivates me for doing those races.
Well, and it's so true too, because it's so common in sport where, at least in my career, there's been moments where I'll have 3 like spectacular races in a row, and you're just like, I figured it out. I understand the sport. I'm never gonna lose ever again, And then in my case, I like broke my ankle, fell into like a deep depression, and then had like a year and a half of like, I'll never race again, But it really, like, it's really all about finding the steadiness and allowing yourself to celebrate when things go well, but not feel like you've solved the questions of the universe. And then similarly, when you get hurt or deal with long stretches of underperformance or adversity, to also not, crater, but to find that.
Find the balance, to keep cool, like to stay cool in sports and in daily life. Yeah, that's cool. What are more important, speed sessions or hills?
Speed sessions on hills.
I agree.
Run uphill hard. That's a secret to training. Would you agree, Philip?
I totally agree. I started with speed sessions last autumn I had to learn that I had to do the speed sessions as well, and not just to do adventures in the mountains. That's a part of my progress as an athlete. But it's not just about spending quality time on the mountain, but even hard work is required. So let's go to the last question for you. Quite interesting. You have raced at a high level. What are your race goals as a seasoned athlete? If you are one, I don't know. Maybe you have another 10 years.
I'm definitely a seasoned athlete. Yeah, I mean, my goals we were talking about this also today. And my goals for Mozart are really just to like go have a solid day. Don't swing for the fences. Don't try and win. Don't just go have a solid day and enjoy it. Like I think that's so key in an athlete's journey, is like to have specific goals for individual events, and sometimes it is appropriate to really take a swing and really find the edge. That's not what this weekend's about. This weekend's about reconnecting with the joy and love of racing again, seeing where I'm at now as a 38-year-old dad, and hopefully building momentum again. I did a 20-mile race back home 3 or 4 weeks ago now, and it went pretty well and gave me indication that I'll be able to get through the 100K. And I've done a lot of these races now, so I have a lot of experience, but it does feel like it's been a long time since I've really stepped to a start line. And so my goals are just to have a nice solid 100K race, put a result on the board that I'm proud of, but understand that this is part of a process, not the end of anything.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that you will have a great day on Saturday. You will enjoy the views. It's a stunning landscape to do a 100K race. You will love the kind of the race that will expect you, because it's I would say it's more American style. Some really flat runnable parts. But even some European touch. Some steep uphills, some technical downhills. As you saw today, you will. I'm pretty sure that you will love the race.
Yeah, I'm gonna love it. Anything else from our list here? Any questions from the audience?
They all wrote them in there.
Okay, cool. Well, let's see if there's any good ones here to close things down. That we can both.
There's some questions like on the last that are sort of directed at the both of you.
Maybe this will be a good one to close things down. How do you overcome doubts in yourself when you're chasing big goals?
Doubts are part of the daily progress of an athlete, I think. It's like that you question yourself quite every day, and everything that you change something or try something new in the training, or even in the progress of an athlete, you question yourself a lot. Or I do it. I don't know. Maybe other ones don't think a lot about themselves or how they have the appearance in the community or something like that. But I reflect myself a lot, and for me it's really important because we are more than athletes. I think we want to be a kind of role models. We want to spread our identity, our dream and their vision, or like our values, and I want to stand up for those values too. So yes, I question myself, but even that progress is really important to get better.
So true. It is interesting to wonder, like, because wouldn't you love to just be inside Jim Walmsley's head at the start of UTMB, you know, like, and know that, like, he obviously knows that everybody's looking at him, right? And what's his relationship with doubt, right? Because if he fails, it's like the most public failing a human can go through. And when he succeeds, it's like those stories that we remember forever. And that's what sport is all about. And that's what makes it so special. And I think that's why I've always loved it and why I've always dedicated my life to it, is because there's value in just like confronting that, you know, and just knowing what you're capable of when it goes spectacular. You know, you've confronted this doubt and you've proved to yourself that you're capable of amazing things. And when it goes terribly, you've confronted doubt and learned something really valuable that will help you somewhere down the line.
Agreed. And your limits you can find out, or where your limits are, you can find out that only during racing. You can't push yourself so hard in the training sessions or something like that. There's only one opportunity for that, and that's racing. Yeah. So racing for sure has not only good parts, even some, you have to prove yourself there. Eyes are on you, so there's always pressure in racing, but that's the way where you can chase your limits and to push your limits, and probably that's the motivation for us to keep going.
Hell yeah. Round of applause for Philipp Ausserhofer.
Even a bigger one for the old.
Well, dude, it was really fun to hang out this morning, and I appreciate in advance your support of me on Saturday. I would promise to return the favor eventually. Thank you, BOA. You guys are awesome.
Perfect.